Hey everybody, how you doing today? I just want to do a short little video. I got a question. Some guy said he was putting going to carburetor from TBI, and he said he wasn't getting any fuel to his carb. And I wrote a few explanations and troubleshooting things that he can do. And if you're not getting any fuel to the carb, he said it wouldn't start, and then he messaged back and said that he's not getting any fuel to the carb. He said he's got the same regulator that I do, and I just want to do a little short video and just make sure that everything's clear in case anybody else has got any questions like that. Now, the only thing between the carburetor and the tank is your fuel pump, fuel filter, your regulator, and pressure gauge. Obviously, pressure gauge isn't going to affect it any. You're going to know what you got. Now, your regulator, a lot of these regulators have an in and an out. And you got to make sure you got that in going in and out going to the carburetor. And if you got an electric fuel pump in the tank and you're going from a TBI, you have to get one with a return. Because if you just get an in and an out, then you're still going to flood that carburetor out. But in this case, he's not getting fuel to the carburetor at all. So double check that. Make sure that you got it hooked up right in and out. Honestly, and make sure that it's adjusted. If it's adjusted all the way in or out and it's shutting the fuel off altogether, try that. Try to move your adjustment knob. You think coming from the factory or wherever you ordered it from, it would be preset, but you just don't know. You always double check that stuff. So, and check your fuel filter. I guess I'm kind of going backwards. I probably should have started at the tank. So when you check your fuel pump, turn your key on, make sure you can hear it. If you can't hear it, then check your fuse. There's a reason why you're not, it's not getting power to it. Check your fuse. If your fuse is good, check your wiring. At the tank, I worked on a car a long time ago. A guy kept saying the car kept shutting on and off, and he couldn't figure out what it was. Come to find out that the ground wire that hooked to the outside of the tank was loose. So he had bad ground. I tightened that up and fuel pump problem fixed. So that's just part of troubleshooting. You just got to go through it. You got to figure it out. You got to find out why that fuel pump is not coming on. Now on this is a 92. He said he had an 89 S10 Blazer. I don't know if things are a little different with that or not. Now I know on this you got to consider the VAT system. There's a lot of things that if the wires are being hacked, or if the computer's not detecting this, that, or if the activator on the key that goes in ignition, if that's not registering right, it's not going to turn on the fuel pump either. So you might want to consider that if you have a VAT system. But I don't know. I don't think them 89 S10 Blazers do. If I'm wrong, correct me. Send me a little message. Let me know, hey, I got an 89 S10 Blazer that does has a VAT system. That'll be good knowledge to know. I'd like to know if they do or not. I kind of Googled a little bit, and they first came out, VAT system first came out in 86 with the vets, and then GM went to in 88. They started using them in the Camaros, what else was there? Camaros, 2 or 3 other vehicles, I can't remember, theft-worthy vehicles. So you had the Vets, the Camaros, I can't remember. But anyway, but if it doesn't have a VAT system, then you're just going to check your fuse, make sure you're getting power to the ignition. When you turn the ignition on, you're getting power back there, and it's part of the fuse. Check the wires. Like I said, every situation, every circumstance is different because of the vehicle. I mean, like I said before, this vehicle, the wiring and everything was never touched. Now you might buy a used vehicle off somebody like we did that 78 Camaro, and you look under the dash and it looks like a freaking, they cut and hacked and spliced, so you don't know what the hell is going on under there. And so you may have a problem under there, the reason you're not getting fuel to the fuel, the fuel pump. get on Google and get you a wiring diagram or a service manual that has wiring diagrams in it, and just start fishing it out, trailing it down. But fuel pump, make sure your fuel pump's coming on. If your fuel pump's coming on, you're still not getting gas to the carb, check your fuel filter. Maybe plugged up totally. Change the fuel filter. If you're still not getting fuel to the carburetor, it's got to be in your regulator. You probably got it hooked up wrong. You got the out going in and the in going out, or whatnot. And another way to do it is, if you got a car and the wiring's all hacked and chopped up, run a jumper wire. It's going to take a lot of wire, but just run a jumper wire straight power from the battery. Run it all the way back to your fuel pump. Find your fuel pump wire. Bypass everything on the ignition and the dash. Find your fuel pump wire. Run a little jumper wire. If you hear it kick on, and you know your pump's good, then you know that the problem's in between, the ignition and the pump, which could be fuse or a bad wire or bad ground. And you just got to dig it out. You got to dig it out and fish for it. There ain't nothing worse than trying to troubleshoot wiring. I hate it. But when you get into some of these cars and cars that people had before, it's something you just got to kind of learn how to dig in and do. Try to figure it out. But that's one good way to find out if your fuel pump is good in general. That'll eliminate a lot of digging and frustration. See if the fuel pump's working. If it's working, then, the frustration starts digging through the wiring. But if you don't get any power straight from the battery to that fuel pump, then, the problem's solved. You just got to drop your tank, put a new fuel pump in it. So, fuel pump, I gave you a few ideas on how to troubleshoot that fuel pump. Fuel filter, there's no rocket science to that. If your fuel pump's working and you're not getting no fuel up to your regulator or your carburetor, change the fuel filter. $10 fix probably wouldn't hurt to change it anyway. And then work on your regulator. And you really need to get a gauge, because if you don't get a gauge to see what's going into that carburetor, you're just running blind off this. You may have 3 pounds going into the carburetor, and then it's not running right. Your car's running shitty, and you can't figure out why. Well, you're starving it. You're not giving it fuel. So you really need to get a gauge so you can see what's going in. Now, I don't know what kind of carburetor you got. I'm sure Edelbrock may be a little different, and a Quadrajet, but I'm sure all of them is pretty much in general the same. But I got a Holly, and Hollies are really comfortable. I got 7 pounds going into this Holly. And I got this carburetor tuned just right. This thing's been sitting all winter. I can pump it twice and it'll start. So, and that also helps. If you got a, I don't know what kind of carburetor you got on it. That's another option. If your fuel filter's good, or fuel pump's good, fuel filter's good, your regulator's set up right, you got fuel going into the carburetor, you're still not getting no fuel into the carburetor, then obviously that carburetor's clogged and plugged up. It's junk. You might want to take it apart, rebuild it, or get a new one. But there's not a lot of troubleshooting to it. The biggest troubleshooting that you're going to have is that fuel pump. And like I said, the fastest and easiest way to find out if that fuel pump is working or not is run a jumper wire, power wire, straight off that battery to the power wire of the fuel pump. Now you'll have to get a wiring diagram, or if you got a buddy who knows what wire it is, get under there and just run a jumper wire to it. Problem solved. If it's running, then you can tell if your fuel pump's good or not. So that's just a little video on this fuel. And I got another question. Somebody asked what kind of brackets. I have several questions about the brackets. Now, obviously, if you got an Edelbrock carb or a Quadrajet or something different, the bracketry is going to be different. But I got this Holly, and I bought this bracket that bolts to this back corner bolt, and it holds your TV cable for the 700R4 and your throttle. And then I bought this other little bracket that comes down about 2.5, 3 inches, and then it has a little 1-inch offset. You have to have this. I can't stress it enough. You have to have this running these Hollies if you got a 700R4. A lot of the brand new Hollies that bracket is already made in with it, because Holly figured, you know, they realized a lot of people's doing this. Hey, let's make the carburetor that has that bracket already fit in. So I got a video. See, yes, I did a video a couple weeks ago on the part numbers. If you got a quick fuel carburetor or a Holly, the bracket, same in the part number on that. So, but that's just a quick little video. Hopefully that that helps you try to figure out some of the fuel situation on these. And I just used my factory fuel line coming right up. I took up, you know, you have the return line coming off of that old TBI system, and then you got the fuel supply going up that old TBI system, and then you got your main fuel line coming in. And I just used the factory fuel lines and just got some brass fittings to match it up. I mean, I think this this regulator has a 1/2 inch pipe thread fitting on each end, so I just got the right fittings. One of them going out of this is a 1/2 inch and a barbed end, and the hose just goes up to the carburetor. In the factory is a 1/2 inch, and then I think, I don't know, maybe 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. I can't remember. I think it is. Just fuel supply going in, and then the return line I just did. I think it's a 3/8 with the barb end, and I just cut that factory end off and just stuck that on there and put a clamp on it. Works out great. So I'll leave you guys alone. I got a doctor's appointment. I got a bad knee, so might have to get a knee replacement. I don't know. But just want to do a little video. That's why I haven't done a lot of videos. I haven't been out here that much in the last month and a half, because it just kills me to walk around on here. So, but it's March, almost March. Spring's coming. I'm eager to get out on the road and start running the car and see how things turn out. But anyway, hit like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your buddies. I haven't done that much how-to videos too, because it's Camaro. I'm still doing body work. I'm waiting on a right quarter panel. When I get that right quarter panel in, I'm going to do a whole video on that, on how to take that old one out, put the new one on. And it's going to be a long video. It'll probably be a, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hour video. I may pause it in between here and there on some of the monotonous stuff, but anybody who's wanting to put a quarter panel, not a skin, it's a full quarter panel on some of these cars, and you want to know how to do it, I'll show you how to do it. Anyway, hit like, subscribe. Talk to you guys later.